Are you serious? Are you serious? Are you seriously serious? What is going on? Well, that's what I'd like to know. The President of the United States was able to have a 3.5 hour, which I found that fascinating, that it was 3.5 hours, but a 3.5 hour meeting with President Xi Jinping of China. It was a virtual meeting done by using, of course, the cameras and the systems and the big screens and everybody, so that each side's cabinets and interpreters could understand it. But it lasted 3.5 hours, and they never talked about the pandemic or the origins of the pandemic, and they never discussed the Olympics. And if this is such a horrible thing and everybody's got to be, cautious, then is the Olympics still going on in China? And there was more than that. So let me just talk about that. Let me tell you what the main focus was. Biden reportedly tells Xi Jinping that the United States doesn't, I repeat, does not support Taiwan's independence. I want to thank Agent 2020 for getting me this information this morning. This is huge. This is so huge, I can't even explain it. This is a shift, because I thought we were supporting Taiwan and their freedoms. This is huge. Let me put a shout out right now for noblegoldinvestment.com. That's www.noblegoldinvestment.com. Some of you may be concerned about your 401k or your retirement funds if you have them in a 401k, which is basically in the stock market. And you should be concerned with the hyperinflation, the rise of prices, the loss of value of the dollar, and the ever-changing, confusing world that we are living in. Where are you at today? Are you happy with having all your eggs in one basket? NobleGoldInvestment.com can help you with this by diversifying your funds, putting some of it at least in precious metals in a gold or silver IRA. You should pick up the phone this morning and call Colin Plume at 877-646-5347. That's 877-646-5347. If you set up a gold or silver IRA, he will send you this beautiful America the Beautiful silver coin that is 5 ounces of pure silver. He will give this to you for free because you set up a gold or silver IRA, or you diversified some of that 401k into precious metals, which I think would be, it's always good to diversify. Let me say that. That's noblegoldinvestment.com. They're a Christian company. They're family owned. Tell them Pastor Paul Begley sent you over there, okay? All right. Now, let me tell you what else is going on. That's true. President Biden spends 3.5 hours in a virtual conversation with the president of China. And in that, he says the United States does not support Taiwan's independence. In other words, if China invades Taiwan, the United States is not supporting Taiwan to have independence. So what does that mean? It means we're not going to back them? That's huge, because Japan said they would back them. Matter of fact, all of Europe, NATO says it would back them. What is the president saying? He's breaking from NATO and his alliances to join China on this subject. This is huge. Well, U.S. President Joe Biden said at this virtual meeting with Chinese President Xi Jinping that the United States will adhere to the one China policy. That's not what Trump said. That's not what any of the other presidents have said. This is huge. Matter of fact, he says we will adhere to the one China policy and does not support Taiwan's independence. China Central Television has reported following this bilateral summit, the U.S. government will consistently, long-term, adhere to the one China policy. The U.S. does not support Taiwan's independence and hopes to maintain peace and stability in the Taiwan Straits region, in the Straits of Taiwan, according to the TV channel. Joe Biden noted during the meeting that the U.S. neither aims to change China's system nor enter a conflict with China, according to CCTV. And while commenting on the outcome of the summit, a senior White House official argued that President Joe Biden was reaffirming the very long-standing approach of the U.S. toward Taiwan. But that's not true. That's not true. Even in the United Nations, there's 15 nations that recognize the independence of Taiwan's government, which includes the United States. What are they talking about a long-standing approach when that's not true? This is huge change. Now, there is something with the U.S. has reiterated at various points over time, what our officials have reiterated publicly earlier this year, that there is nothing particularly new or different about the U.S. policy. According to the White House readout of Biden's virtual meeting with Chinese leader Xi Jinping, President Biden underscored that the United States remains committed to the One China policy, guided by the Taiwan Relations Act, the 3 joint communiques, and the 6 assurances, and that the United States strongly opposes a unilateral effort to change the status quo or undermine the peace and stability across the Taiwan Strait. Has anybody forgot history? Did we forget history? Folks, it's a one China, 2 policy. That's the long-standing status quo that the world has been following since the end of World War II. One China, 2 policies, not a one China policy. What that would be saying Taiwan is completely under Chinese control. This is a huge change. Now, Chinese President Xi Jinping, in his turn, warned Joe Biden during the online meeting that China is ready to take decisive actions if the separatist forces in Taiwan cross the communist red line, according to reports. We are patient and willing to do our utmost to strive for the prospect of peaceful reunification with the utmost sincerity. Reunification. Now, where'd that word come from? Since when? Who started that? There is no prospect of a peaceful reunification because there's no prospect of a reunification. Am I the only guy covering this? Is anybody covering this in the MSNBC, CNN, even Fox News? Is anybody covering this? Or are we all watching to Kenosha, Wisconsin, like we're waiting for a train to wreck? I'm praying for Kenosha, Wisconsin, that peaceful reaction to the outcome of the Rittenhouse trial is what we have. Whatever the verdict is, we must have a peaceful reaction if we're going to be a law-abiding country. But I think that what's happening here, the media is focused on that and trying to throw the political football back and forth. While the media focuses on that, I'm not saying that's not a serious issue, because it is. President Biden is doing a blood moon conference with China for 3.5 hours. That's the exact length of this blood moon on Friday morning. And he's basically throwing in the towel and good luck to Taiwan. And now we're talking peaceful reunification with an utmost sincerity, said President Xi Jinping, as quoted by the Chinese Central Television, warning that if Taiwan independence forces provoke the issue or even cross the communist red line, the mainland will have to take decisive measures. They're telling you they're coming. The Chinese army is coming to Taiwan. They're telling you, and Biden is saying, we're not going to interfere. And all of a sudden, we're changing the status quo in the middle of the game. We're moving the goalposts that have been set in place since 1948. Excuse me. So the Chinese leader says he hopes that the United States president will show political leadership and bring Washington's China policy toward a rational track. I don't see what he has to do. He already just did. He just did what you wanted. President Xi also told President Biden during the online meeting that the interests of the two countries are deeply interconnected. I don't know if he was talking about Hunter Biden. And cooperation will be beneficial to both if they work together accordingly. Now, Saturday, Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi spoke by telephone with U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken. During the conversation, the minister emphasized that any support for the forces advocating Taiwan independence undermines the regional peace and security. China and the United States, Washington continue to sell weapons to Taiwan and maintain official and military contacts with Taiwan, and Beijing calls on the U.S. to stop these provocations. Taiwan has been governed independently from mainland China since 1948, and Beijing views the island as its province, while Taiwan, a territory with its own democratically elected government, maintains that it is an autonomous country, but stops short of declaring independence. Matter of fact, the United Nations, like I said, 15 members of the UN recognize the Taiwanese government as independent from China. And those 15 nations include the United States. But apparently, Biden has not read that. China and the U.S. believe that the meeting was pragmatic, meaningful, frank, and even fruitful. And countries agreed to continue their contact with each other. A senior administration official, I don't think there's going to be a Mueller investigation in collusion at all between the Bidens and the Chinese. I haven't heard anybody call for that at all. Since before, after the information that we heard about Hunter Biden, before the art exhibit or after the lost laptop, after the found laptop, the interaction, the funds exchanging, we haven't heard anything yet. There's no Mueller investigation on that one for collusion. That'd be communist China collusion. It's not out there. A senior administration official did say, though, today that the United States didn't expect a virtual summit between the President Joe Biden and Xi Jinping to be as fundamentally departure point or breakthrough in relationship with China. Oh, no. But instead, mostly it's developing a stronger, more responsible conversation. The officials noted at the same time the summit was open, it was very respectful, and lasted longer than expected for 3.5 hours, the same length as the blood moon that's going to happen over America Friday morning. Now, I want to make a clarification on the blood moon, because the blood moon is actually starting. It's 3 hours and 28 minutes and 23 seconds, which is 3.5 hours if you round it. And it's the longest blood moon of the century. It's actually the longest blood moon of over in 1,200 years, all the way back from the year 1440, and it won't happen again until the year 2669. It's an incredible event that's going to take place, but it starts at 2 a.m. and it reaches its maximum at 4 a.m. So I had the times a little off. Eastern Standard Time. So if you're in the East, it starts at 2 a.m. and it will reach its maximum coverage of fullness, 97%, leaves just a little sliver. It will be a maximum at 4 a.m., but it still takes 3.5 hours to complete. If you're in the West Coast, it starts at 11 p.m. Thursday night, Pacific Coast time, and the maximum hits at 1 a.m. on the West Coast. So East Coast, it starts at 2 a.m. and you hit the maximum at 4 a.m. It's a 3.5 hour event, the longest in 1,200 years. What are the odds that a 3.5 hour blood moon would happen the same week of a 3.5-hour summit in which the United States walks away from Taiwan. And oh, by the way, there was no discussion about the origins of the virus, nor was there any discussion about the Olympic Games. Sounds like we're going to the Olympics. Apparently, we're not going to pull out like everybody thought we were going to do and support Taiwan. Looks like we're walking away from Taiwan and we're going to Beijing. Look for China to invade Taiwan after the Olympics. Not right after, maybe not till June, but trust me, after the Winter Olympics is over and the smoke clears and all the pomp and circumstance and NBC's ratings get sky high, then look for China to invade Taiwan next year. This could be the beginning of World War III and the opening of the abyss of Apollyon rising. Give your life to Jesus Christ. Yeah, it's about over. And when I say that, guys, I'm not blowing smoke. I'm telling you, you better believe Jesus is coming soon. I'll be back at 12 noon for a live broadcast. We're going to do a 1-hour show today, right here on the Coming Apocalypse. Do you believe? Old man Wrigley lived in that White House down the street where I grew up. Mama used to send me over with things. We struck a friendship up. I spent a lot of long summers out on his old porch swing. Says he was in the war and in the Navy. Lost his wife, lost his baby. Broke down and asked him one time, how'd you keep from going crazy? He said, I'll see my wife and son in just a little while. I asked him what he meant. He looked at me and he smiled, said, I raise my hands, I bow my head. I'm finding more and more truth in the words written in red. They tell me that there's more to life than just what I can see. Oh, I believe. A few years later, I was off to college, talking to my mom on the phone one night, getting all caught up on all the gossip, the ins and outs of small town life. She said, oh, by the way, son, old man Wrigley died. Later on that night, I laid there thinking back, thought about a couple long lost summers. I didn't know whether to cry or laugh, if there was ever anybody who deserved a ticket to the other side. It would be that sweet old man. Look me in the eyes and raise my hands, I bow my head. I'm finding more and more truth in the words written in red. They tell me that there's more to life than just what I can see. I can't quote the book, nope, the chapter or the verse, but you can tell me it all ends in a slow ride in a hearse. You know I'm more and more convinced the longer that I live. Yes, it can't be, no, it can't be, no, it can't be all there is. Somebody shout! I raise my hands, I bow my head, I'm finding more and more truth. The words written in red, They tell me that there's more to life than just what I can see. Oh, I believe. I believe. I believe. I believe. I believe. Oh, I believe. I believe. I believe. I believe. Oh, yes. I believe. Something biblical is going on, folks, with the sign of the second coming of Christ. Well, that sign could be this very Friday morning, as the longest blood moon of the century will take place. It's actually the longest one since 1440, and it won't be close to this length again until the year 2669. And it's sandwiched right in between two grand solar eclipses that cross America 7 years apart, and right in the middle is the blood moon. Is there something biblical going on? And then the president of the United States has a 3.5-hour meeting with President Xi of China, the same week of a 3.5-hour blood moon. I'll be back with more current world events. Guys, the armies of the Antichrist, are gathering. And this just doesn't feel right. Us just all of a sudden just turning away from Taiwan just doesn't feel right. It isn't right. And they're changing the narrative like there was a different status quo when it wasn't true. But that looks like that's what they're going to do. And then they're just going to go right on with the Chinese Olympics, and everybody's going to be singing praises about how beautiful China is during the winter, and MSNBC and NBC News, and they're going to all be happy. And then when it's Olympics is all over and everybody goes home, watch out. Taiwan is absolutely being targeted to be taken over. That's why we're doing this webinar, Armies of the Antichrist, coming up December 3rd and 4th. Get your tickets today. Matter of fact, this afternoon, I'm interviewing retired Lieutenant General William Jerry Boykin. I'm interviewing him this afternoon at his 1-hour interview that will be airing on that webinar. So I'm going to be doing that this afternoon. It's one of the things I got to get done today. And I can tell you right now that, wow, he's going to look right at this. I can't wait to ask him this question. What's going on, General Boykin? What in the world's going on? And is this part, you might say, well, what is that going to do with the Antichrist? Kings of the East are being manipulated. And oh, by the way, the river Euphrates is drying up. The angel's about ready to open the bottomless pit. We're about ready for a paradigm shift. Give your life to Jesus Christ. Run out of time. I'll see you guys in a few minutes. Plus, I'm going to be doing a live show at 12 noon right here on the coming apocalypse. Are you saved? Please get saved. It's almost over.